Welcome. Welcome to this special episode, which is focused on the WICCI iLead report that came out recently. This report, now in its third year, is a game changer that lays bare the realities of women in communications. The numbers speak for themselves. 75% of women in PR and digital marketing recognize upskilling as a career accelerator. Yet, there are systematic challenges that we cannot ignore. There's unconscious bias. There is gender gap in terms of pay equity. In terms of leadership barriers, there are still aspects in which women struggle. And at every level, there is need for mentorship. As AI and digital media transforms and refines the industry, the question is that are we doing enough to bridge the generational divide and empower women? Joining me today are two powerhouse of who've been leading this conversation from the front. We have Ritu Bararia, who's the president of the WICCI Council of PR and Digital Marketing, and Pratishtha Kaura, who's been at the forefront, a key catalyst in bringing this report together. Thank you, both of you, for joining in today. Together, we're going to unpack the insights and discuss what needs change and how can we bring in more stakeholders and activate this, parts of this report that can be pieced from one to the other and put into action. The key question with which I'd like to open this conversation today is that is PR and comms industry truly evolving in support of women? Or are we still stuck in old cycles? What's the reality on ground? There is a lot of talk about it, but what's really happening? So I'll invite you, Ritu, to come in and talk about your perspective to begin with.
Thank you, Garima. First of all, thank you for having me here. And the question that you have asked, I think it's a brilliant, brilliant question. And I'm sure a lot of us, majority of us can relate and can actually, we do think on these lines. We do actually think as to how exactly the industry is evolving in terms of women. When I say industry, of course, I'm talking in terms of communications and public relations. And this was precisely one of the thoughts behind coming up with this report, and this is the third in its series of reports. And Vicky, of course, Garima, and Pratishtha, of course, is a very, very key council member as well. So Vicky Public Relations and Digital Marketing Council is a platform where we try and talk about the issues and the concerns that the women in communications and public relations space face, how those can be addressed seriously, and how we can create a buzz and an awareness around those issues within the industry, and how can we can engage with the various stakeholders within this industry. So that was primarily the thought behind the report. And a lot of findings have come out of this report. In fact, the issues you've already spoken in your introduction about the issues that we have spoken about in this report. The findings have been very, very mixed. In fact, everybody does agree with the fact, they all know, and the report also suggests that 65% of the workforce in the communication space comprises of women.
Yeah.
So, which is a big percentage, right? And it's a very woman-centric industry, which we all know of. However, there are mixed responses. People feel that yes, the industry is evolving in terms of women, in terms of hybrid work modules, and in terms of promoting flexibility at work, and giving that kind of space to women, trying to encourage a lot of self-care in women, trying to encourage women to address their mental issues, if there is any mental health issue or something, due to the kind of stress which the industry of course puts on you. It's a very, very high demanding and very, very high energy and industry. So obviously, a lot of women, because we are physically like that, biologically we are like that we have these burnouts very soon, or maybe these are more talked about more in terms of women. I wouldn't know that men also do face their own burnouts and everything, but somehow that thing is goes somewhere behind. It's always women. When you talk of mood swings, when you talk of other stuff like that, it's immediately related to women. So yes, so industry does understand, and there have been a lot of changes, also transformation that we've been seeing in the industry. But again, like I said, there are mixed responses. Some people feel the organizations are not doing enough. Some people do feel that yes, the organizations are enough. However, there is still a lot to be done for.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's yes, yes, Garima.
That's a great perspective that you've brought in here, Ritu, that there is diversity in voices. There are people who are feeling a certain way, and I think that also is a mix of, because this report is very expansive and very diversified, right? We took into account some very senior professionals, mid-level professionals, and even the ones who are getting into the industry just now. So for everyone, how much is being done? The measurement is very different. Like for example, the three of us also, we are almost different generations, or at least few years apart, right? So for you, Ritu, you would have seen so much more than what I and Pratishtha would have seen, right? So your appreciation for the change is way greater than our ability to comprehend the change and appreciate the change. Maybe the diversity is also coming from there. And like you rightly said, I think issues are gender agnostic, but it's just that the men had a head start in workspace irrespective. And because this field is dominated by women, why not have this voice heard? So I think it's a great, great way of putting that voice out. And with this thought, I'd like to invite Pratishtha, who's been at the forefront of this effort for a while, right? Pratishtha, what are your opening thoughts on the need for a conversation like this? And at what stage is it? Like, we do agree that somebody's feeling a certain way, somebody isn't. But the bigger point is that one, need for conversations like this, and two, take a leaf from here and act on it. You've been on both sides, in
Yeah,
Copcom as well as on the consulting space. And you've
yeah.
been a very, very young leader in the space. Talk from your experience. How do you feel about
Yeah, no, so great. Thank you so much for having me. I would love to talk about because this cause is very close to my heart, and which is what has gone into developing the report also. I think I'll start with what you said, Garima, because that segues into what was the initial thought when we started developing the report. Actually, three of us, I mean, we are at different generations, I can say. I mean, yeah, some years here and there. I mean, you both senior professionals really respect you. We've been colleagues, and then now at this juncture, I see there I have reached at a certain stage where there are a lot of people reporting into me as well. So it's kind of I've reached that stage. So and I mean, I call myself a proud millennial because I can somehow, switch into the Gen Z and then also into the mindset of how my older generation has been. So, that was a very important point of how we wanted to look at, because there are a lot of reports out there that speak about gender pay gap, or
it?
are speaking about flexibility at work, now that we are 5 years past pandemic, and the way things changed. But my larger point about this is and tech, how it's evolving. Women always, because of their caregiving, because of the way they have to balance their work, their home, there are a lot of responsibilities that come to them by default. They
Yeah.
have to balance it all. There's always that. But one constant thing that is stressing women so much is something that comes from within. We all somewhere, I mean, I'm not a mother, but both of you, the kind of conversations we had to somewhere balance our work and personal lives. um some of us do it really well, but there's always some constant guilt that, oh my god, I'm not able to do good enough, I'm not good enough, or I'm not able to do as much as I should be doing for my work, or that also comes at being in my own personal life. So that thing is common. I don't know how Gen Z is treating that, but there are those constant um, guilt or such feelings that come from within.
Hmm.
That has to be somehow addressed, and
Hmm.
that's something that cuts across generations.
Hmm.
Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, whatever, all women face somewhere that thing. So I think that inherently is something we wanted to address. And then coming to the point about how tech is evolving, I think the biggest takeaway for me was that tech acts as an enabler for all of us. AI is now taking over. I mean, I've been one of the digital natives if I can say, when the social media was coming up, I was starting my career, so I saw how it developed. But there are a lot of people who did not know how to navigate that. I mean, my generation who being older to me or being in the career. So mentorship is a common theme again that cuts across generations. So be it all, generations, and that's something that not just younger ones, like I would want to learn from my seniors like you or others, irrespective of the genders. But there's so much that we all as older generations can learn from the ones who are younger to us. So the
Yeah.
point of reverse mentoring also comes in there. So and then, I mean, I'll speak about tech in a bit, but the larger thing was these 2 points. And I think my basic and biggest point of what I want to drive is how can we create a safe space where we all can come together and, irrespective of judgment, speak to each other, discuss challenges that we all face. And just, I mean, that could just be a venting out session, or it could be genuinely a guidance. So
Yeah.
it's those three major pointers that I would want to say.
Great, Pratishtha. Thank you so much for bringing in these elements. What I hear you say is a need for emotional intelligence throughout, be it about me hearing my own internal voice and giving it a place and a space for expression in a safe environment. Two, I also feel that, as women, we operate from a very apologetic place all the time. Apologetic for being feminine enough, apologetic for being too
No,
masculine at
absolutely.
times.
And I will just come in here. It's a very good point. There's this book called Own It by Aparna Jain. I had also attended a workshop by her where she said that, we apologize for everything. We apologize. Sorry for calling you. Sorry for this.
Sorry.
I mean, we'll even
Yes.
stand and we'll even reach
Yes.
out. So we'll start everything by sorry. That's generally women. Men will
By
never do
sorry.
that. Even if they're wrong, they will not apologize. I'm sorry. I'm just generalizing a bit. I have some very
No,
nice
no.
men.
See,
I know
again,
they're
the point
quite.
is,
No, no, you're not being feminist. Yeah.
Yeah, but
see, just the fact,
that's
just right
something
now, in the
we
last 30 seconds, you gave us an example. In the 30 seconds, right? Because you're just voicing an opinion which is actually backed by statistics, numbers, figures, scientific data, right? I was reading because we're talking
Absolutely.
about a book. I was referring to a book that won Booker's Prize in the science category. The title of the book is called Invisible Women. Why? Because the whole generationally science was
Hmm.
dominated by men. So even the office temperatures, which are set at a particular degree, are set as
Yeah.
per male body temperatures. The female
There
anatomy
is
is not
a
even
report on this.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. It's
absolutely,
not even taken
exactly. So
into
next time,
Yes.
this a lot of people actually, that's a great point. Thanks for bringing it up. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know why women feel so cold in offices while men don't,
yeah,
because
and that just goes
No,
on to
absolutely. There
strengthen
has been a
the
complete study. Yeah.
yeah, and it goes down on to strengthen the the male dominant perspective that women are sensitive, women are weaker, therefore they're feeling more cold. It's the same temperature. And like Ritu mentioned
Absolutely.
earlier, we are biologically designed differently, right? And the only thing that we are trying to do with this report is this perspective was not brought to fore for a very long time because the forefront was the it was held by
Yes.
men at work. Women came into so there's another scientific fact that women came into workspaces only after birth control came in, right? उससे पहले तो we were busy
Yes.
making babies and raising them and just feeding them, right? This is actually a fact. It's just been 3 decades. Globally, it's just
Yes.
been 3 decades since you've got access to birth control. Even if we go back 3 generations, our
Hmm.
grandmothers for sure
Yes.
5577 babies, which means for a large part
Yeah.
of the life they were busy with healthcare and childcare concerns. So anyway, so keeping
Absolutely.
that as our base, Ritu, you
Aside.
also do a lot of coaching work, right? So mentoring and coaching and upskilling is something that's very close to your heart as well. Talk to me a little about this twofold approach that Pratishtha is also mentioning. One is my own narrative, my imposter syndrome, my apologetic nature, because unfortunately I don't know better. That's how that's what I've been seeing.
Brought up.
Yeah,
Yes.
none of us, there are these memes on social media. We've not seen a calm woman. We've only been around hyper women since childhood. Mummy was doing
That's
220
unfortunately.
things. Like dad could
Absolutely.
come and put
Absolutely.
his
No, but
feet up and
unfortunately, that's
relax.
the concept.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
talk to me about the need for this emotional well-being and intelligence piece, both personally and professionally, and this tech piece. So like we've been saying, we're different generations, and there is somebody who's a social native, there's somebody who's an early adapter, and then there is somebody who's trying to do the catch-up game, and that's where reverse mentoring comes into play. But from an emotional
Yes.
lens, there could also be a lot of ego around it. Yeah. So give us a
Yeah.
perspective on that. And how does that play in
Uh,
terms of my promotions at leadership? Because one of the things that our report highlights is this leadership barrier.
Yeah, absolutely, there is. You are so spot on. In fact, this is something again very close to my heart. And there's another issue which I'll just quickly talk about after this, which I've spoken about at various platforms also. So when it comes to coaching, like for example, you touched upon my coaching, what I do in coaching and everything and all, and how it's been going, and what are the kind of, I would take it as the kind of challenges that I'm facing there, Garima.
Hmm.
Believe me, as a coach also, people know you are credible, people are familiar with you, your background, they really like what you're touching upon, they really like what how you're coaching them, and the kind of perspective you bring on the table, and they know they're going to gain a lot out of that. However, yes, that barrier still stays. A woman, a coach, so I mean, seriously, a woman, that ego thing immediately comes into play when it comes to a male. And it's not just male, it's amongst women also, which is, I think, which is something I've never been able to fathom. In fact, Pratishtha and I have had few conversations around this. I just do not understand, why is it that a woman doesn't hold the other woman's hand? Why is it that that barrier always stays?
Hmm.
So it becomes very challenging in coaching also. People know they're going to be learning and gaining out of you your insights and your experiences, and the way you're going to be coaching them. However, because you're a woman, because probably you look a certain way, you dress up a certain way, so how is it that they can take you seriously?
Hmm.
You're, how can they take you seriously? And again, that ego thing also comes, that she's a woman, what can she teach me? I am a bloody CEO of the company. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be using this word. You can edit it if that's possible. I'm the CEO of, this organization. I'm the business owner of my business and everything. I feel there is a need for me to be coached. And there is this lady who is available who comes with so many years of experience, and I know I'm going to be gaining a lot out of that. But then that ego immediately comes into play. I mean, how can I learn from a woman? What can she, after all, what can she coach me?
Hmm.
So these mindsets, I think they are very, very damaging overall for the society. We are not only talking in terms of women in comms and public relations here, in some of these very, very common issues that that are prevalent across the industry and within the society also.
Hmm.
But yes, this is something which I have faced a lot. I do. I've been actually experiencing and facing a lot. In fact, I'll give you a very small example of my earlier on days. When I was heading PR and corporate affairs with the leading airlines in those days, many, many years back. I think it started almost 20 years back.
Hmm.
I was a little youngish and everything, and I'm here and I'm hobnobbing with the MPs, with the parliamentary members, and those consultative committees. I'm going and representing my organization there. I've been invited by colleges for some lectures and all. I'm the face of the airline for the media. Media is running after me, and I'm providing them. I'm going that extra mile to provide them that information, everything. Everybody totally is into like, okay, she's there and she'll take care of everything. But
Hmm.
I faced these challenges then also, because I was young, and because I used to be the only woman representing an airline in those parliamentary consultative committees. So I used to face these ego challenges a lot.
Hmm.
Those are all big men, senior MPs, and renowned people and public figures and all. They were somehow just not able to digest the fact that a younger woman can be here and representing the organization and talking sense.
Hmm.
And moreover, somehow in those years, I think over the last few years, there has been a transformation in people's thinking. They've
Hmm.
still started taking PR and communications a little more seriously.
True.
Earlier on, public relations, oh, she is a PR girl. What does she do anyways? She's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that PR girl was like
No,
a
no,
kind of
absolutely. And Pratishtha and
yeah,
myself in our interactions, we've also
Oh
so many
yeah.
times spoken about PR for
yeah,
PR, right? PR for
yeah,
PR. There's need to be reputation building done for the profession per se. And then we'll come to the gender
absolutely,
conversation. So yes, you're
absolutely,
absolutely right that there is
absolutely.
a huge learning curve both for people who've been in the profession, for people who've been looking at the profession, for stakeholders that we deal with because we do deal with
Hmm.
some really senior, really important people. And honestly, just a pretty face would not cut it. Unless there
Absolutely.
is matter in what you're speaking, how far would that boat really go? So,
Yes, absolutely.
thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much for bringing in the point that till date there are aspects and challenges with which we are working. Um, Help me understand. So from here, so we've established that there is bias, there are challenges. We've also established that we also feel a little apologetic bringing that up because there is a lot of discrediting that happens in the industry. Yeah. Oh, once again, you're
Hmm.
nagging. Yeah.
Hmm.
So how do we make this conversation more credible? And how do we, so Pratishtha, maybe, you can bring in this element because you've been doing PR for a long, long time, right? I've been seeing this now close to a decade. I've been seeing
Yeah.
throughout your career. So, how do we make these conversations more constructive and solution oriented rather than it being a rant and a crib and a venting session? Which is just an outlet, which is okay. You can do that in closed doors and in your personal circles, if that
Yeah.
helps you, that is. But from a constructive, credible conversation perspective, how do we turn it around into a solution conversation?
That's actually a very good question, and makes me think of, because there are a lot of such conversations happening. It's good that these conversations are happening. Like today, we are discussing that okay, mentorship is something, or mental well-being. I mean,
Hmm.
a few years back, we were not having these conversations. So I think, while I don't have an exact answer to your question, and definitely worth food for thought for all of us,
Hmm.
I think just because we've moved the needle and we are able to kind of have those discussions today. We have these forums like WICCI. There are so many more that have emerged in the
Hmm.
industry, and
Hmm.
some of my friends and colleagues, we all know, are running them. So I think it's great because uh, I think we've spoken, but when I started my career around 12, 14, 15 years back, we did not have those. We had to find those people, and that's what I have been always kind of hungry. But I don't know how many of people are shameful enough to just reach out to people and ask for help. But there weren't many of those structured programs. Nowadays there are some at least structured forums where people can come together, they can network, they can meet each other. So I think
True.
the biggest solution could be, and I'm thinking while I'm answering, so
No,
I'm
no, absolutely. I see
saying that
that. And
one, it
maybe
could be networking.
I can feed in the
Yeah.
thoughts that we've already been planning. For example, we all have been discussing this, that we want to go to colleges and hold debates and discussions on this report,
Yeah.
right? We want the next
Yeah.
generation of employees who are coming in to already come with the mindset of having a discussion on this as of yesterday. मतलब ये नहीं कि आप आओगे, experience
Yeah, no,
करोगे,
absolutely, Garima, which is
burnout
why
होगे,
I
फिर
think
बात करोगे.
matlab, for the report, which is why we wanted to speak to the student community. These are going to be the next leaders of tomorrow, our workforce. What are the things, what are the mindsets that they're already coming up with?
Exactly.
So
So
Absolutely. I
while
think
we'd
that's very
like the
important.
I think
academicians
I
and
can think of
students to
one
come in,
solution. Yes.
we want CHROs of different PR and comms
Yeah.
spaces to bring
Yeah.
these conversations into the boardroom, into the leadership conversations. We've been having those
Hmm.
conversations. We want more
Hmm.
emotional intelligence conversations and coaching conversations and mentoring
Yes.
conversations,
Hmm.
right? For example, Nikhil is a coach. Nikhil Day, who's
Hmm.
written the forward, is a
Hmm.
coach. Ritu is a coach. I'm stepping in, doing mentoring, teaching, coaching. We want for sure the coaching community to come in here. We want the academic community to come and talk. We want the
Yeah.
CHRO community to come and talk. And of course, women leaders. right? So, and feel free to add to that, because as a
Yeah,
voice
no,
and
absolutely. I
vehicle.
think the biggest thing we realized while we were putting together the report was that while there's a lot of work which has been done across different spaces, be it flexibility, mental well-being, all of this, gender pay gap, which has been the
Hmm.
biggest challenge. The biggest takeaway was there's no mentorship network. There are some. I mean, there are some, I would say, but they are
There are some, the
already with
point
a
is that
certain
we need
levels
to
of
customize it
experiences
for the sector. Yeah,
for the
and what
sector. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yes, yes,
so I
absolutely.
think there
It
were a
needs
lot
to
of
be done
such
in a very structured way. Hmm.
structured manner, and irrespective of the age group, and with now
Yes.
different generations coming together. Earlier it was two generations, now it's three. In another few years it's going to be a couple of more. So all these senior leaders who are from, and full respect, but from that boomer generation, how are you inculcating and building the next pipeline of leaders? Are
yeah,
you working
Yeah.
towards
another
that?
thing that I feel here, Pratishtha and Ritu, is that some people are great at doing what they're doing. They may not be great mentors.
Hmm.
Let's be
Hmm.
real about it. Yeah. Not everybody has the desire of giving back, right? But there are
Oh,
some who
yes.
Agree.
genuinely
Yeah.
do want to give back. There are
Hmm.
ones
Hmm.
who are
Correct.
naturally great at holding spaces and conducting
Yes. Yes.
programs like these. The idea is to invite
Absolutely.
more and more such people to forums like ours, and give them a
Yes.
platform to do something together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ritu,
Absolutely.
would you like to strengthen
Absolutely.
that voice
Yes,
and
yes, yes. Definitely, definitely. I think I totally agree with what you have just put together here. I think we need to do that. And in fact, somebody in the report has commented, and I really, really genuinely liked it. And the person has said that it's not that PR has no space on the table. PR has lost that space on the table. Why? Because somehow, if you see, I mean, with all due respect to all my counterparts here, and the senior ones, the younger ones, everybody and all. Unfortunately, we have a lot of mediocres also here, in the PR and communications fraternities. So I really don't know. I mean, how to put it across. I don't really want to sound
yeah,
mean
yeah.
or bad or anything.
Mhm.
This is not definitely not the purpose. But the whole point is that PR had a space, but PR lost it because of our own
Yeah.
mediocrity,
I
and a
think,
lot of women
yeah,
also. We ourselves are responsible. We are
See,
somehow not able to
I
really put across our thoughts. We are happy with
completely,
what we are getting,
yeah, yeah, no,
and it's all
completely
right.
hear your
We are
point.
bringing it to ourselves. Yeah.
Completely hear your
Yeah.
point there, and I'd like to just add a flavor to it. We agree that it's the most high pressure job. We agree that we need to work round the
Oh,
clock. We agree that there needs to be
yes.
upskilling. We need rest and restoration. But at the, say for example, a McKinsey consultant, the way they are treated,
Hmm.
the the credibility,
Hmm.
the luxury, the money muscle, the upskilling. अब आपको वो क्वालिटी का कंसल्टेंट पीआर में चाहिए, बट यू डोंट टू इन्वेस्ट. Honestly, I'm putting it out there, right? Ritu, myself, Pratishtha, all of us are wanting to do a lot of mentorship
Yeah.
work. We are, as
yeah,
WICCI, happy to roll out a program for any agency, any consultancy, any leadership team that's willing to learn.
Hmm.
But you've
Hmm.
got to get the buck rolling as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
these things.
Absolutely. Yes,
You want a
correct.
senior professional to come in and train you. You pay for their time.
Hmm.
It's a people's profession at the end of the day.
Simple. Yeah,
Upskilling
absolutely.
doesn't come for
Absolutely.
free. So I also feel that as part of this report, we want to really further the cause of creating a budget for learning and development in the field of PR and digital marketing. Very rarely there are, पहले तो HR ही evolved नहीं है, unfortunately. हर जगह एक या दो तो HR people है, तो that's more than enough. You're a big agency if you have two HR people. Within that, HR learning and development is the last thing that you want to do.
Hmm.
How will
Yes,
the mediocrity get to excellence unless you create a program around it? So I think
absolutely.
I really
Absolute.
feel that
Yeah.
these conversations need structure, thought, and I
Hmm.
think we are doing a phenomenal
Yeah.
job by starting these conversations. All of these are action
Yes.
points. We have
Absolutely.
and thank you so much for unearthing. I think we've been very productive in less than less than 40 minutes. You touch on a range of tangents. Top three takeaways and top three action points from both of you before we close this, so that we know. For example, let's also take this moment to announce that we are going to come up with a series of podcasts from different voices that have been a part of this report. And every week, 10 days, you'll hear a new leader talking about it. What are the three things that we want to put on the table to them, saying this needs action, act now? Pratishtha, Ritu,
All
anybody?
right.
Yeah.
Pratishtha, you want to go first?
Yeah, Ritu, you
Go
want to
first,
go
Pratishtha.
first? Yeah.
All right. So for me, something which is very, very close to me, and I feel very strongly about it, is women making a comeback. I think that's a very, very valid, very important point that needs to be really, really discussed out there, and we really need to have a voice around that. So that's something very important for me. Of course, upskilling is very, very important. If you want to thrive in the industry, there are so many things happening on an everyday basis. So and it's so if you come from that generation, then you really need to upskill yourself. And similarly, the younger ones also, they also need to keep pace with whatever is happening around them. And of course, the third is the need for a structured mentorship. These are three things which I feel very, very strongly on. Pratishtha?
Awesome. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
I
Ritu.
think
Very constructive, very sharp.
very sharp.
Yes.
I think one of them actually same takeaway. But I am genuinely like very passionate of how we can have a very strong mentoring network, maybe a structured one more, which is irrespective of age groups. To start with women, if tomorrow men also feel it's good, and I mean, why not? That second, how can we build allies? Because whenever we have done something, at least for the last 1.5 year, we try and ensure that it's not just women coming together and having discussion. We want to make sure that men are also a part of that discussion. So
Gender
the second,
agnostic alliances.
yeah, so how can we build allies for each other? And third and finally, how tech is not a gap to be filled in. It's more like an equalizer, how it can bring together a lot of people across generations, specifically intergeneration. Like I said, I'm a sandwich generation, so I'm very happy to stitch all of them together.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people of my age group and would also echo the same. But yeah, those are the broad takeaways for me. And we are thinking of how we can now have specific call to action now that the report has been launched.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you. I think we've covered a very good feat in this amount of time. Like we said, our stakeholders are CHROs, academic circles, students, as well as mid to senior level professionals. Our call to action to all of them is to have a structured mentoring program, be it senior, junior mentoring, reverse mentoring, use of technology, invite women back into workforce. They come back richer as a person, and create alliances which are gender agnostic. And if there's anything else that I've missed, I invite the audience to listen to the end and leave in the comments what else can we add here, right? Thank you so much for sparing the time
Thank
this
you,
evening.
Garima. Thanks, Ritu. It's always
Thank you,
lovely to have
Garima.
this conversation with both of you.
Thanks, Garima.
You,
Thank you so much. And thanks, Pratishtha.
Thank
You
you
were
so
you too.
fabulous.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. With
Bye.
this, we close this episode and we invite more leaders who've contributed to this report to come in and complete this series with us, where we are going to specifically touch on each topic as we roll over into
Yeah, and
these
irrespective
episodes.
of people who have not even been a part of it. I mean, we invite everyone, whoever has a thought,
To have
of
a
course.
say. Yes, yes. To have a say,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
You
you,
have a
ladies.
great
Thank
evening
you.
ahead, and we'll convene further.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.